thanks so much for joining us for the virtually awful Concours de Le Mans, the Kommunist Kar Klass. Usually a hotly contested class at the actual Concours de Le Mans, and we got some really good entrants in the virtually version of it. But we also have some really good judges. By that I mean we have really bad judges. Leading the way is our chief judge, Tim Suttard from Classic Motorsports Magazine. Tim, Kommunist cars, what do you think, man?
Well, when I was 10 years old, I've always been a car guy, but when I was 10 years old, I went to East Germany to visit relatives. My mom's German and grew up in East Germany. And trying to understand Trabants and all these East German cars. As a car guy growing up in a Ford dealership with Mustangs and other cool cars, I didn't get it. I still don't get it.
And you shouldn't. No one should get it. I mean, no one should have any of these cars. Speaking of having communist cars, we have the chief perpetrator of the 24 Hours of Lemons, Jay Lamb, who's, I've heard you've almost been killed by a Trabant. Is that true?
Yeah, no, I owned a Trabant for a blessedly brief period. I was in a bar with Ralph Day, and we were complaining that we currently owned the worst cars in the world, and we just decided to trade. And he was right. His was worse, and I got his Trabant in that trade. You couldn't pull it out of the parking lot without it trying to go up on two wheels and kill you. So it was really bad.
Well, what did you trade for?
I traded a 1979 Alfetta sedan, which I got from Dick McClure for free. So that tells, I mean, the Alfetta sedan is a terrible car. A free Dick McClure Alfetta sedan, you can just get. Yeah. The quality of it. Yeah. In fact, when I got it, so he had repossessed it from a friend of his who borrowed it and got sent to jail. And then Dick like picked the car up 3 years later from the guy, like, whatever happened to that guy? Oh, he's in jail. I'm going to go get the car. It had stickers on the license plate that were done with yellow construction paper and Sharpie for the date. So that's what we were dealing with on that car.
Nice. And also rounding out the judging for the Kommunist Kar Klass is Greg Park, car detailer to the stars, car collection guy extraordinaire. If you want your car to win its class at Pebble Beach, you need to call Greg. Greg, thank you for being with us today.
Yeah. So I went through Yugoslavia and Hungary in 1973 in a bright orange Volkswagen Beetle with my parents. And about 1 in 1,000 people had a car back then. And the cars they had, I just remember they were all terrible and tiny and smoked a lot. And
maybe the cars were so bad the rest of the people just didn't want one.
No, exactly. They'd rather have their ox cart. Just haul it in.
Well, so these aren't all your cars behind you?
No, this belonged to my client, Mr. Michael Coit. I just decided this was a better background than my office. So I came over here to give a little more pretty background to the show here, I guess.
Well, speaking of which, let's get right into the judging. And we are going to be extraordinarily judgmental, starting off with this fine example of a communist car. This is the Yugo. I mean, yeah. What else is there more to say except somebody went to an awful lot of trouble to take a nice picture of a really bad car.
But this is a little Survivor from what I've read.
Yeah, the guy's description, I mean, he loves it. It's like 150,000 mile Yugo, right?
It is indeed. And who knew they could go that far, actually?
So who cares, really?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
Well, and not only that, but he's taking it out on track. I mean, yep. Who does that?
Yeah. No, that's really good.
And he's taking it on a Lemons rally. So, I mean, this guy is just, you know, he's touched in the head, obviously.
Yeah.
That salt, and it's still here.
Yes.
Well, you notice there's no after picture from here.
True.
So, right.
It could be the last known photograph.
It's in the scrapyard. That's the after picture.
Well, and this particular car, not this actual car, but the Yugo is one of the 2 cars that was has the distinction of having been blown off the Mackinac Bridge by a strong wind. So pictured here, that's quite the feat.
I've crossed that bridge in a crosswind more than once. It's terrifying, and I can see it go flying right off of it.
So
is this a good thing or a bad thing that this thing got blown off the bridge?
up next, we have a race Lada.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good, right?
So Jay,
It's a lot of Neva.
and they've decided to race it because that's what you do.
That's what you do. Yeah. So you could get these in Canada, right? And because we struck a blow for freedom by not letting any come into this country, but the Canadians had them. You could get those in Canada. We've had a couple of Ladas come down and run Lemons races from Canada. This was one of them, and they're as bad as you would expect.
Well, up next we have. I didn't think it could get much worse, but by gosh, it did, and it is a Wartburg. It's not just any Wartburg, but this is the Wartburg. This was given away, and this was won, and it looks like they're turning it into a gasser because that's what you do when you.
They're turning it into a gasser. Well, they already made it into a GT road racing car earlier, so I think it was a Subaru motor eventually. We gave this thing away in like 2009. We had a contest, write an essay about why you shouldn't be given this Wartburg and turn it into a race car. And the guy who had the best argument for why he shouldn't be given the car was given the car, and he turned it into a Lemons race car. Now, I don't know how it went through a lot of hands since then, and I don't know how it wound up as a nascent gasser, but that's pretty good.
Need some Big Daddy Boris Roth graphics.
That's the best. That's the best line today.
Yeah, I think Greg wins the internet for today, man.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. And Trabant, but a rather spectacular one, and it looks like they said they turned school kids with paints loose on the car to try to make it better, and I'm not sure they did.
Republicans do some crazy shit.
They're on mushrooms. You can only.
I think that's pretty good. I think, and the paint is going to add a little extra structure, which these cars need. So
they desperately need the Duraplast panels are made out of cotton mill waste and glue, and what they found was that the rodents really loved to chew on this. So at some point they started infusing the panels with DDT. So a Trabant is actually toxic, not just to the eyes, but actually toxic. So just an awful car. All right, next up we have our only Chinese car in the class, and this is a 2012 Great Wall Motors Volix C20R.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of words.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. That's another 24 hours Lemons race car. And I think it's a knockoff. I think it's like a nut and bolt copy. What was that horrible General Motors little crossover?
Oh, yeah.
Buick sold them. What is that thing?
It's like a Chevy, not the Bolt, but I see the GM car right there.
Yeah.
Buick, shit.
Yeah.
Ford
Buick,
version of
Buick
it was
Enclave?
top.
Buick Enclave?
Now the Enclave is an SUV.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
a little SUV like.
Yeah.
But it's not an Enclave.
Okay.
It's a lot of things.
No, but it's like that. It's one of those it's E something. I know because I rented one not that long ago from Avis, and it was just spectacularly bad. And if you're gonna totally steal a car, if you're gonna violate somebody else's IP, why not start with a good car? It's just as much work to rip off a good car.
Exactly.
7 Series BMW, cheapest GM ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the market they're trying to serve goes for that type of a car. Let's be kind.
All right, so we have some strong contenders here. We have the 150,000 mile. We have the Yugo that has gone further than anyone would ever expect a Yugo to go. We have the Lada race car. We have the Wartburg that was given away several times and has become a race car again.
That's what happens with a Wartburg. It keeps getting given away.
Yeah, we have the Trabant, and then we have the Chinese Great Wall, name too long to remember, and I'm not going to even try, Lemons car. do any of them strike you as the worst or the best communist car?
Certainly not the best.
Well, I think the Yugo's got to be the best because if you read that guy's submission, he loves that car, and
Oh, yeah.
he uses that car. He loves it. He thinks it's a great car. Nobody else would say that about any of these other vehicles. So I think just hands down, that's the best. Do we care about the best? No, we have no interest in the best. So that really, you come to the worst. And how do you?
Yugo's right there too.
Yeah, that's
That's a good point. That's
yeah.
good.
You know, the lot of race car.
Okay. I like the gasser. That's interesting concept.
Gasser is good.
Yeah.
Gasser is very good.
And then the race car, the racing Trabant is kind of.
I think it's prosaic and pathetic that most of these cars are Lemon's race cars in the Kommunist class.
Well, where else would they?
I don't know who runs that series, but boy, he must be pretty embarrassed at this point.
Yeah.
I have never been more proud than I am at this moment.
Okay.
No, where else would they show up? Yeah, I like the Wartburg too, and I like the idea. It has been passed around from a whole bunch of people like a communicable disease, like a wart, in fact, if you will. So, and they keep doing good stuff to it, so that's good. But the Trabant is sort of the classic. If you can only think of one horrible, miserable, smoke belching, rodent killing communist car, it's probably the Trabant too. So I don't know.
Didn't that Trabant, wait a minute, didn't that Trabant already win something today?
I don't know.
Really, words I never thought I'd say.
None of those were two-stroke, were they?
Alan?
I don't recall actually. I think the Trabant may have won something.
Hey, it won something else, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you don't want Trabants running away with the competition, so then it's
Yeah. So that's when you know you're running a shitty event, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's when you know, Tim?
We didn't have a two-stroke in the mix, though, did we?
No, we did not.
Trabant's a two-stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Damn it, we've already ruled it out.
Which is the sign of an awful car.
My experience, it's about a 1.5 stroke most of the time. So, I don't know. I'm inclined. I think you're right. I'm thinking the Wartburg just kind of on sheer visual awesomeness. I'm kind of with you on that.
Yeah, you look at that and you're like, you really do say, what the hell is that?
Yeah. Yeah. And why would someone do that? I think that's another factor is why would you take this and make it into a gasser other than why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Is a Wartburg, is it East German?
Yeah.
It's German. I know. Okay, so it's East
no,
German. Okay.
Yeah, it was somewhere on the Soviet side of the line when they
The wrong side of the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Made it past the wall back in the day.
Yeah. No, and I think to your point, Tim, anybody can make a gasser out of a Willys. Any idiot can do that, but a Wartburg?
It takes a special idiot to do that. Yes.
That's a double super secret special idiot.
Right.
Yeah.
What engine does that have in it now? Does it have any sort of gasser-worthy engine, or is it like a hopped up? If it's a hopped-up Wartburg, how can you even do that?
I think the smart thing to do would be just to dump a big block in it and call it good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're in agreement that the Wartburg is probably the winner of the Kommunist Kar Klass for the virtually awful Concours de Le Mans. How can you top that, really?
Yeah, that works for me.
If you have to justify your pick at a Concours, I think the words Wartburg gasser are probably never going to be uttered, and that's probably worth a prize right here and now.
Not one. I've been to a few. I've never heard those words.
I think it's an obvious invite to Pebble or Amelia.
Yeah, it's the next logical step. Well, for winning that, the owners of that car receive a $300 eBay gift card and a prize pack from our gracious sponsors at Griot's Garage to keep it nice and shiny in that metal flake green and gold. We'd like to thank all of the sponsors: Haggerty, Classic Motorsports Magazine, eBay Motors, and Griot's Garage. We'd also like to thank our really dumb judges for being here that had nothing better to do and showed up and wasted time with us. Thanks so much.
Hey, does Griot's sell wart remover?
They might, and if you put it on the car, it'll probably just disappear. So
Right.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We've got to get on to the next class, and let's go.